The year was 1821. In a small village in France called Antry, a boy named Louis was born. His life did not start like the lives of princes or rich children. Louis Vuitton was born into a poor family. His father was a carpenter, but the family never had enough money. There was never enough food. There were never enough clothes to stay warm in winter. Louis was the fifth child in his family. His mother loved him very much, but love does not put food on the table. Love does not keep a child warm when snow falls and the house is very cold. The small house where Louis lived was dark and cold. It had holes in the roof. When it rained, water came inside. When it was winter, ice formed on the walls. Every day, Louis watched his parents work very hard. His father cut wood all day long. His mother washed clothes for rich families. But no matter how hard they worked, there was never enough money. Sometimes, there was no money for bread. Sometimes, the children went to bed hungry. At night, Louis would sit by the small fire in his home. He would watch the flames move and dance. He would dream of a different life. He would dream of a world where he had enough to eat. He would dream of a world where he could help his parents. He would dream of a world where children did not suffer. One day, when Louis was only 10 years old, his mother became very sick. She lay in bed for many days. She grew weaker and weaker. No doctor could help her because the family had no money for a doctor. Louis watched his mother's face become very pale. He watched her eyes close slowly. After 10 days, his mother died. Louis felt his heart break into 1,000 pieces. The pain was so strong that he thought he would die too. His mother was the person who loved him the most. She was the person who hugged him when he was cold. She was the person who told him that his life would be better one day. Now she was gone. His father was very sad. The whole family was very sad. But his father had no time for sadness. He had 6 children and no wife to help him. He had to work even harder now. He had to work all day and all night to feed his children. Louis knew he could not stay at home anymore. He was old enough to understand this. He knew his family did not have enough food for 7 people. He knew that one less mouth to feed meant more food for his younger brothers and sisters. On a cold morning in March, Louis said goodbye to his father. His father held him and cried. His father knew Louis had to leave to have a better life. But it was the most painful thing his father had ever done. "Be strong, my boy," his father said. "Work hard. Be honest. One day, you will have a good life. I know this in my heart." Louis had no shoes on his feet. He had no money in his pockets. He had only the clothes on his back and the love of his father in his heart. He walked away from the only home he had ever known. He walked into an unknown world. Louis was only 10 years old when he began to walk. He had no plan. He had no place to go. He only knew that he had to leave his village and find a way to survive. The roads were very long and very difficult. Louis walked for days and days. His feet hurt so much that he could barely walk. He had no food. He ate things he found on the ground. He drank water from rivers and streams. At night, he slept under trees or in barns. Sometimes, farmers gave him a warm place to sleep. Sometimes, other poor people let him sleep near their fires. After 2 weeks, Louis arrived in a larger town called Troyes. It was much bigger than his village. There were many buildings and many people. Louis saw things he had never seen before. He saw a train for the first time. He saw shops with beautiful things in the windows. He saw rich people with nice clothes and shoes. He felt very small and very alone. In Troyes, Louis found work. He became a young apprentice for a man who made trunks. This man's name was Monsieur Marichal. A trunk is a large box that people use to carry their things. Rich families used these trunks when they traveled. Monsieur Marichal was a hard man. He did not speak much. He was very strict. But he was fair. He gave Louis a small place to sleep and small amounts of food to eat. In exchange, Louis had to work all day. Louis was very happy. This was much better than sleeping under trees. This was much better than not knowing where his next meal would come from. For 5 years, Louis worked for Monsieur Marichal. He learned the skill of making trunks. He learned how to cut wood. He learned how to use tools. He learned how to put pieces of wood together. He learned how to make the wood smooth and beautiful. He learned how to make something that was strong and would last for many years. Every day Louis worked. His hands became hard and strong. His back became strong from lifting heavy things. His mind learned and learned. He watched everything that Monsieur Marichal did. He asked many questions. He tried to do everything as perfectly as he could. Monsieur Marichal began to notice Louis. He saw that this poor boy had a gift. He saw that Louis understood how to make beautiful things. He saw that Louis cared about his work. He saw that Louis had big dreams. One day, Monsieur Marichal said to Louis, "You are not like other boys. You have something special. You have the hands of an artist and the heart of a worker. One day, you will make beautiful things. You will be famous." These words changed Louis's life. No one had ever believed in him like this. No one had ever told him that he could be famous. No one had ever told him that he was special. Louis felt a fire light up inside his heart. He decided that he would work as hard as he could. He decided that he would become the best trunk maker in all of France. At 15 years old, Louis left Monsieur Marichal's shop. He had learned everything that Marichal could teach him. It was time to go to Paris. Paris was the biggest city in France. Paris was where the most beautiful things were made. Paris was where dreams came true. Louis walked to Paris. It took him many days. When he arrived, he felt like he had entered a different world. Paris was enormous. There were thousands and thousands of people. There were beautiful buildings everywhere. There were lights and noise and life. But Paris was also a dangerous place for a poor boy with no connections. Louis had no family in Paris. He had no friends. He had no money. When he arrived at night, he slept on the streets. He was cold and hungry. For 3 weeks, Louis looked for work. He walked from shop to shop. He looked in his pockets for any money to buy food. He had only a few coins left. He was afraid that when his money ran out, he would starve. Finally, an old trunk maker named Monsieur Bory saw Louis. Louis was sitting outside Monsieur Bory's shop, looking very tired and very hungry. Monsieur Bory asked him to come inside. He asked him about his life and his skills. "I have worked in trunk making for 5 years," Louis said. "I know how to cut wood. I know how to make boxes that are strong and beautiful." Monsieur Bory looked at the young boy. He saw something in his eyes. He saw determination. He saw hunger for success. He saw a young man who would work very hard. "You can work for me," Monsieur Bory said. "You will work hard. You will learn. And one day you will be great." Louis started working for Monsieur Bory. This was the best job he had ever had. Monsieur Bory not only gave him work, but he also gave him respect. He gave him a rail bed to sleep in. He gave him good food to eat. He gave him a chance to learn about Paris and about the world. At Monsieur Bory's shop, Louis learned about different types of wood. He learned about leather. He learned about the techniques used to make the finest trunks in Paris. He learned that there was an art to trunk making. He learned that every detail mattered. Monsieur Bory had many rich customers. They came to his shop to buy trunks for their travels. Louis would watch these rich people. He would listen to what they wanted. He would see what they valued. He noticed that they cared very much about how things looked. They cared about quality. They cared about beauty. One day, a very rich woman came to the shop. She wore a beautiful dress and beautiful jewels. She wanted a special trunk for her travels to England. She wanted it to be very light, but also very strong. She wanted it to be beautiful and unique. Monsieur Bory asked Louis to make this trunk. "This is your chance to show your talent," Monsieur Bory said. Louis worked on this trunk for 2 weeks. He cut the wood very carefully. He made sure every piece was perfect. He covered it with the finest leather. He added special locks and handles. He made it light and strong. When he finished, the trunk was beautiful. It was one of the most beautiful things he had ever made. When the rich woman saw the trunk, she cried. She loved it so much. She gave Monsieur Bory a lot of money for it. She also told all her friends about the trunk. Soon, other rich people wanted trunks like this one. Monsieur Bory gave Louis more and more important work. Louis's reputation grew. People began to ask for trunks made by Louis. Everyone knew his name. Everyone knew that he made the finest trunks in Paris. Louis was now 18 years old. He was no longer a poor boy sleeping under trees. He was a talented craftsman with a growing reputation. But he was still not satisfied. He wanted to do more. He wanted to create his own business. He wanted to build his own company. In 1844, when Louis was 23 years old, something very important happened. He met a woman named Émilie Parmentier. She was the daughter of a wealthy businessman. She was beautiful and kind. She was educated and intelligent. Louis was not supposed to meet Émilie. Men of his background did not meet women of her background. They lived in different worlds. They belonged to different parts of society. But love does not care about these rules. Louis met Émilie when she came to Monsieur Bory's shop with her father. Émilie was looking at the beautiful trunks. She was fascinated by the work. Louis showed her the details of each trunk. He explained how they were made. He spoke with passion about his craft. Émilie listened to every word. She was fascinated not by the trunks, but by Louis. She saw his intelligence. She saw his passion. She saw the goodness in his heart. She saw that this young man was destined for great things. Day after day, Émilie came back to the shop with different reasons. She wanted to see Louis again and again. Louis fell in love with her. He had never felt this way before. For the first time in his life, a woman made him feel like he was important. A woman made him feel like he was special. One day, Louis asked Émilie to marry him. He knew it was impossible. He knew her father would never agree. He knew he had no money, no house, nothing that a wealthy man could offer. But he had to ask. Émilie said yes. She said yes because she loved him. She said yes because she believed in him. She said yes because she knew that one day he would achieve great things. But Émilie's father was furious. When she told him that she wanted to marry Louis Vuitton, her father became red with anger. He told Émilie that she was foolish. He told her that she could not marry a poor boy from nothing. He told her that she would bring shame to the family. He will never be anything, her father said. He will work in a shop his whole life. He will never make any money. He will never be anyone important. But Émilie did not listen to her father. She loved Louis. She had faith in him. She believed that his dreams would come true. Émilie and Louis were married in a small church in Paris. They had very little money. They had no house. They had almost nothing. But they had each other. And they had a dream. Émilie worked as a seamstress to help earn money. Louis continued to work for Monsieur Bory. Together, they saved every penny. They worked every day, thinking about the future. They dreamed about what they would build together. In 1847, when Louis was 26 years old, something changed. Monsieur Bory decided to retire. He was getting old. He wanted to rest. He offered to sell his business to Louis. He offered Louis a chance to buy the shop and continue making trunks. But there was a problem. Louis did not have enough money to buy the shop. He did not have enough money to pay for the equipment or the location. He did not have enough money to pay for the materials. Émilie sold her jewelry. Her mother gave them some money. Louis's friends lent him money. Everyone who believed in Louis helped him. Finally, Louis had enough money to buy Monsieur Bory's shop. Louis Vuitton's own business opened on August 4th, 1854. It was a small shop on Rue Neuve des Capucines in Paris. It was not much, but it was his. It was the beginning of his dream. Louis's shop was very small at first. He had only a few workers. He had only a few customers. But Louis was not worried. He had a vision. He had an idea that would change everything. At this time in Paris, people who traveled by train had a big problem. The old trunks were too heavy. They were very difficult to carry. They were made of heavy materials that broke easily. When trains stopped suddenly, the trunks would fall and break into pieces. Louis had an idea. What if he made trunks that were very light? What if he made them from better materials? What if he designed them so that they would not break even if they fell from trains? Louis began to experiment. He worked late into the night. He tried different materials. He tried different shapes. He tried different designs. He used his hands and his mind to create something new. Finally, he created a trunk that was revolutionary. It was made from a special canvas that was waterproof. It had a flat top instead of a curved top. This flat top meant that many trunks could be stacked on top of each other. The trunk was very light, but it was also very strong. It could hold heavy things without breaking. People loved these new trunks immediately. Travelers could carry more things in a lighter trunk. They could stack the trunks on trains without breaking them. Suddenly, everyone wanted to buy Louis Vuitton trunks. Louis's business began to grow very quickly. He needed more workers. He needed a bigger shop. He needed to make more trunks. Every day, there were long lines of people waiting to buy his trunks. Wealthy people began to know about Louis Vuitton. The Empress of France, Empress Eugenie, heard about his trunks. She bought several of them for her travels. When the Empress used his trunks, everyone wanted them. Suddenly, Louis Vuitton trunks became a symbol of wealth and success. Louis hired his best friend, Gaston Louis Vuitton, to help him. Together, they worked hard to make more and more trunks. They created a factory where they could make hundreds of trunks. They trained workers to make each trunk with care and precision. But success brought problems too. Because Louis Vuitton trunks were so popular, other people began to copy him. They made fake trunks that looked like Louis Vuitton trunks. They sold them for less money. This made Louis very angry. Louis decided to protect his designs. He created a special pattern called a monogram. The monogram was a special design that was only used by Louis Vuitton. It had the letters LV combined with flowers and diamonds. This pattern was easy to recognize. Everyone knew that if a trunk had this monogram, it was made by Louis Vuitton. The monogram was very successful. Now, people could tell a real Louis Vuitton trunk from a fake one. The monogram became famous all over the world. Louis Vuitton trunks were expensive. Only wealthy people could buy them. But everyone wanted them. They wanted them because they were beautiful. They wanted them because they were strong. They wanted them because they were a symbol of success. By 1860, Louis Vuitton was one of the most famous trunk makers in Paris. He was no longer poor. He was no longer unknown. He was now a rich and respected businessman. But Louis never forgot where he came from. He never forgot the day his mother died. He never forgot sleeping under trees with no food to eat. He never forgot the cold nights when he was alone and afraid. One day, Louis received a letter. The letter was from his father's village. His father had died. Louis felt very sad. He realized that his father had died without seeing his son's success. His father had died believing that one day his son would have a good life, but his father never saw it happen. Louis decided to do something important. He took some of his money and he went back to his village. He gave money to build a school for poor children. He gave money to build a hospital. He gave money to help the poor families in his village. When the villagers heard that Louis Vuitton, the poor boy who had left so many years ago, was now famous and rich, they were amazed. They could not believe that the small, hungry child had become so successful. Louis told them something very important. He told them, "I was born with nothing. I had no money. I had no advantages. I had only my hands and my dreams. But I believed that I could be something. I believed that I could create something beautiful. I believed that my life could be different. And my belief came true." These words gave hope to many people. They showed that a poor boy could become successful. They showed that hard work and belief could change a life. Émilie was very proud of her husband. She had believed in him when he had nothing. She had sacrificed her wealth and her comfort to be with him. Now, she lived a life of luxury and respect. She had married the right man. Together, Louis and Émilie had 4 children. 2 of them were boys. Louis was determined that his sons would continue his work. He wanted them to understand that his business was not just about making money. It was about creating beauty. It was about creating things that would last forever. Louis taught his sons everything he knew. He taught them about the materials they used. He taught them about the techniques of trunk making. He taught them about the importance of quality. He taught them that every detail mattered. His son, Georges Vuitton was especially talented. Georges had his father's passion and his father's skill. Georges learned everything quickly. Georges understood the business as well as his father did. As Louis grew older, he spent more time with his son Georges. He wanted to make sure that Georges was ready to take over the business when he was gone. He wanted to make sure that his life's work would continue. In 1892, when Louis was 71 years old, he decided to officially pass the business to his son. Louis became less involved in the daily work. Georges became the leader of the company. Louis spent his final years reflecting on his life. He thought about the poor boy who left his village with nothing. He thought about the years of hard work. He thought about the moment when he created the flat-top trunk that changed everything. He thought about all the people who believed in him. On February 27, 1892, Louis Vuitton died. He was 70 years old. He had lived a full and meaningful life. He had gone from being a homeless, hungry child to being one of the most successful businessmen in France. But his death was not the end of his story. His son Georges continued his work. Georges invented new things. Georges made the company even more famous. Georges opened shops in London, New York, and other cities around the world. The Louis Vuitton brand became known all over the world. Wealthy people from every country wanted to buy Louis Vuitton trunks. People wanted to buy Louis Vuitton bags and other products. The brand became a symbol of luxury and quality. Today, more than 150 years after Louis Vuitton died, his company is still one of the most famous and respected brands in the world. Millions of people carry Louis Vuitton bags. Millions of people wear Louis Vuitton clothes. Millions of people buy Louis Vuitton products. But what is most important is not the money or the fame. What is most important is the lesson that Louis Vuitton taught us. He taught us that it does not matter where you come from. It does not matter if you are poor. It does not matter if you are hungry and alone. What matters is what you believe. What matters is how hard you work. What matters is your determination to create something beautiful and meaningful. What matters is never giving up, even when everything seems impossible. Louis Vuitton lived a life that changed the world, but he did not change the world by becoming a king or a general. He changed the world by creating something beautiful. He changed the world by working hard every day. He changed the world by believing in himself when no one else believed in him. When Louis was 10 years old and his mother died, he could have given up. He could have spent his life being sad and angry about the things he did not have. But he did not do this. He chose to believe that his life would be different. He chose to work hard to make his dreams come true. When Louis slept under trees on his journey to Paris, he could have stopped walking. He could have given up. He could have gone home and accepted a life of poverty. But he did not do this. He believed that something better was waiting for him. He believed that his hard work would be rewarded. When Émilie's father told Louis that he would never be anything, he could have believed him. He could have accepted that he was too poor to be successful. But he did not do this. He believed in himself. He believed in his dream. And his dream came true. Louis Vuitton's story teaches us many important things. It teaches us that your past does not determine your future. It teaches us that hard work can take you anywhere you want to go. It teaches us that believing in yourself is the most important thing. It teaches us that you can create beauty from nothing. Every time someone buys a Louis Vuitton product, they are buying a piece of history. They are buying the result of one man's dream. They are buying proof that anything is possible if you believe hard enough and work hard enough. The boy who once slept under trees became a man who created one of the most famous brands in the world. The hungry child became a successful businessman. The poor boy became the creator of something that would last forever. This is the real story of Louis Vuitton. This is not just a story about fashion or luxury. This is a story about the power of human dreams. This is a story about the power of hard work. This is a story about the power of belief. Every person who is struggling now should remember Louis Vuitton. Every person who is hungry or lonely should remember that this man knew what that felt like. Every person who dreams of something better should remember that dreams can come true if you work hard and never give up. The world is full of people like Louis Vuitton. There are people right now who are poor, hungry and alone. But inside them is a genius waiting to be born. Inside them is a creator waiting to make something beautiful. Inside them is a future full of possibility. Louis Vuitton did not have an easy life. He did not have advantages. He did not have connections or money or privilege. But he had something that was worth more than all of these things. He had a dream. He had determination. He had belief. And those three things changed his life. Those three things changed the world.